Revealed, my ex-boyfriend became my uncle, and his unexpected demand changed my life forever. Emma Wilson wiped down the counter at Rosie's diner, her hands trembling with the news she had just heard. Maplewood was buzzing, and her heart raced as the gossips echoed in her ears. Jake Thompson, the heartthrob of their high school years, was marrying her estranged aunt. The same aunt who had left their family years ago, dragging chaos in her wake. Emma's mind reeled as she remembered the two of them, how he had kissed her behind the bleachers, promises of forever tangled in his messy, unruly hair. Now, that history felt tainted, buried under betrayal and confusion. "Can you believe it?" an elderly patron exclaimed at the nearby booth, leaning in eagerly. "Jake Thompson marrying Mary. What is that about?" With every word, the drama cracked open a door to memories she didn't want to revisit. Emma's stomach churned as she flipped burgers, the sounds of sizzling meat drowned out by the noise in her head. Her childhood represented grounded safety, family, warmth, and laughter. Now it felt like a minefield. Her younger siblings, Max and Lily, needed her. They depended on her paycheck from the diner. But what would this mean for them? She couldn't shake the feeling that this would rip her family apart. As if reality knew how to pile on more tension, as she swiped crumbs off the counter, a shameful truth loomed. A familiar sense of longing for Jake hidden deep within her had ignited. The next evening was a whirlwind. Emma peeked down at her phone, and there was Jake's name lighting up the screen. Guilt and anger flared inside her, mixing with a nostalgia she wished she could ignore. "Emma, can we talk? I'm inviting you to the family gathering," he typed. "I really need your support." Her breath caught. Support? For what? His new family role? With every passing moment, emotions roared inside her, just as they did when they were teenagers. She had built a life away from him, buried those old feelings under layers of hard work and determination, but his message threatened to remind her of what she thought she had left behind. Suddenly, ringing from the kitchen pulled her back. "Emma, need your help at the register," called Rosie, the diner's owner, and like a second mom to her. Before the chaotic whirl of laughter and gossip took over her thoughts, she felt a wave of hope wash over her. It was hope that perhaps there was a way to tie everything back together, to balance the new realities with the old wounds. But then came the knock at her door, the job opportunity she'd been dreaming of. A position in the nearby city, guaranteed to uplift her family's lives, but it meant leaving Maplewood. Did she leave all this behind? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Torn between her dreams and her family's expectations, Emma felt the pressure mounting. Everyone at the diner rallied behind her, concern shining in their eyes like candles in the dark. Yet, the gathering promised a confrontation she wasn't ready for, emotions bubbling beneath the surface. Days later, at a family dinner, the air thickened with tension. Unresolved anger and past betrayals surfaced, flaring tempers triggered by the shocking news of Jake. As she stood on a knife's edge, facing her family and the ghosts of her past, Emma knew she faced her most difficult choice yet. Could she heal the rift between her heart and her family? Or would she let the past shadow her chance of happiness forever? Emma stood at the dinner table, her heart racing as she felt the weight of everyone's gazes. Max and Lily sat quietly, confusion painting their faces, while her parents exchanged subtle glances, signaling their worry. The tension in the air crackled like static electricity, threatening to explode at any moment. "Can you believe this?" Her mother, Clara, finally broke the silence, her voice a mix of disbelief and hurt. "Jake? After everything he did, he's just going to waltz back into our lives." Emma's stomach twisted. Her mother's hurt was palpable, squeezing at Emma's heart. It wasn't just about Jake, it was about family, betrayal, and the fractured ties that had once bound them all so closely. Mom, she murmured, struggling for words, I don't think he wants to hurt us. Not now. Not now? Her mother scoffed, anger flaring in her eyes. What does he expect? A warm welcome? You don't just forget what he did, Emma. The mention of Jake ignited a firestorm of memories inside Emma. The long-forgotten moments flashed vividly before her eyes, the laughter, the stolen kisses, the dreams as young love often conjures. Those dreams had shattered when Jake left her for her aunt, a transition that tore through her teenage years. Now, seeing her mother wounded by it all felt like a fresh stab. I know, Emma whispered, fighting to keep her voice steady. But he has changed. I can feel it. It's complicated. Complicated? Clara huffed. Is that what we're calling him, marrying your aunt? This isn't just about you. What about Max and Lily? They don't need this chaos. Max, usually the quiet one, shifted in his seat. Are we really just going to ignore that this could ruin everything? He asked, his voice small but filled with concern. It pierced through Emma's heart. Why couldn't they just understand? None of this is easy for me, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't want any of this. But I have to see him just to figure it out. For me. The moment hung heavy in the room, filled with static anticipation. Finally, Lily broke the tension, her innocent curiosity cutting through the darkness. Why do we have to be mad at Jake? Can't we just talk to him? Emma paused, her younger sister's question echoing in her mind. Was it possible? Could talking truly heal the wounds? Maybe Lily was right. Conversations could pave a path where harsh words had once created walls. Can you tell him how you feel? Lily asked hopefully. Her wide eyes glimmered with a child's unbroken faith. Emma nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Clara sighed, her anger cooling slightly. Just remember, Emma, family comes first. Choose wisely. As the dinner wore on, conversations drifted into safer territories, but Emma remained lost in her thoughts. The emotions still churned within her, colliding and clashing, forming a swirl of uncertainty. Jake's invitation loomed over her, a beacon of both temptation and dread. Later that night, with the moon casting silvery shadows, Emma sat on her bed, her phone clutched tightly in her hands. The screen glowed with Jake's message, the words echoing in her heart like an unplayed song. How could he possibly think he could just fix everything? Could she ever forgive him? The thought paralyzed her. Should she risk everything, stepping into a world where pain mingled with familiarity? A knock on the door jolted her from the spiral of thought. Emma, Lily whispered, peeking inside. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm just... Emma's voice trailed off. Could she show her little sister the chaos brewing inside? I just wanted to say I believe in you, Lily said softly, her voice unwavering. In that moment, Emma felt a spark of determination rise within her. Maybe the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but if her family would stand by her, perhaps she could confront Jake and navigate the tangled web of emotions that awaited her. In the silence of that night, one thought overpowered all the rest. She would meet Jake. They needed to talk, but as she pressed send on her response to Jake's invitation, a wave of unease washed over her. What if this meeting only deepened the divide instead of healing it? The next morning broke with a soft light filtering through Emma's curtains. She had barely slept, her heart still tangled in the whirlwind of emotions from the previous night. After the sun peeked over the horizon, she finally pulled herself out of bed and prepared for the day, but each routine task felt heavier than the last. As she brushed her teeth, the reflection staring back at her seemed foreign. Who was this girl stuck between past love and present turmoil? The more she thought about Jake, the more tangled the memories became. On her way to the kitchen, the delicious scent of pancakes wafted through the air. Lily sat at the table, animatedly chatting with Max, who was poking at his food rather than eating it. The scene felt so normal, but an undercurrent of tension pulsed silently beneath the surface. Morning. Emma forced a cheerful note into her voice, but it faltered as she noted the heavy expressions on her parents' faces. Clara looked particularly worn, as if the shadows of last night hadn't lifted. Good morning, sweetie, Clara responded, her voice flat. Are you still planning to meet with Jake today? Emma's stomach twisted. Yeah, I think so, she answered, avoiding their eyes. I need to know what he wants. Max leaned forward, his brow furrowed. Just be careful, okay? You know how complicated everything has become. A heavy silence blanketed the room. Emma wanted to scream, to lash out at the constraints of family ties and love lost, but instead, she nodded, squelching the turmoil inside her. I will. After breakfast, Emma decided to take a walk to clear her head. The crisp air stung her cheeks, but invigorated her spirit. Each step pulled her closer to the inevitable, yet she savored every moment of freedom before facing Jake. The park was quiet, the calmness wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. She slid onto a bench and fumbled with her phone. The message she had sent him rumbled in her thoughts like a thunderstorm. What could he possibly say that would change everything? As she fiddled, another message popped up. It was a reminder for her appointment to meet Jake at their old cafe. An icy flutter danced in her stomach. Turning her phone over, she took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The cafe had always been their sanctuary, a sanctuary that now felt like a potential battleground. Emma recalled all the laughter they had shared there, the whispered secrets, and that one rainy day when they could barely see through the window but still felt invincible. Yet, in the shadow of betrayal, those memories felt bittersweet and tainted. With each passing second, doubt tugged harder at Emma's heart. What if he hadn't changed? What if his presence only reignited the pain? She couldn't just wade through nostalgia without considering the repercussions. Lily's words echoed in her mind, can't we just talk to him? Emma wished it were that simple. It was a battle of emotions, one she never anticipated joining. The clock in the cafe struck the hour, its chimes slicing through her thoughts. She had to go. Placing her shaking hand over her heart, she whispered a silent prayer and got up from the bench, resolve hardening within her. As she approached the cafe, her heart raced, each beat louder than the last. What if this encounter turned everything on its head? What would she do if Jake asked for something outrageous? Standing at the door, she hesitated, hand resting on the handle. All her fears circled like vultures waiting to descend. But with a deep breath, she pushed the door open, the familiar scent of coffee wrapping around her like a cloak. The sight of Jake, sitting at their usual table, sent a rush of memories crashing into her. His eyes, still so familiar yet brandishing shadows of regret, met hers and time froze for a split second. Emma, he started, his voice breaking the silence that hung heavy in the air. In that moment, she realized this was not just about reconciling the past. It was about facing the truth of what had unfolded and what they could rebuild from the ashes of their history. Could this be the moment where healing began, or was it simply a lie wrapped in nostalgia? The answers lay between them, waiting to be unwrapped. Emma's heart thudded loudly in her chest as she stepped further into the cafe. The familiar sounds of clinking cups and soft chatter suddenly seemed distant, muffled by the chaos of her thoughts. She wanted to scream out, to shatter the tension, but instead, she remained paralyzed at the entrance. Jake's eyes were locked on her, a mix of hope and apprehension swirling in their depths. She could see him battle the internal storm, and she felt her resolve waver. His presence stirred a million emotions, each one clawing to be acknowledged. He looked different yet painfully the same. There was a sense of loss etched across his features, and Emma realized he wasn't the only one haunted by their shared past. Do you want to sit? Jake gestured to the empty chair across from him, his voice just above a whisper. She wanted to say no. She wanted to turn around and run, to escape the intricacies of the past. But the pull of their old connection was magnetic, and, before she could think better of it, Emma moved to sit. The chair felt cold beneath her, mirroring the trepidation in her heart. So, here we are, Jake started, struggling to find the right words. The question hung in the air, heavy yet fragile, like a soap bubble ready to burst. Yeah, Emma replied, her voice barely above a murmur. I didn't think we'd ever be here again. The silence stretched between them, thick enough to choke on. The way he looked at her, searching, hoping, made her heart ache. She willed herself to recall the boy who had stolen her heart, a boy she once thought could never betray her. Yet, the truth loomed over them like a storm cloud. Emma, he finally said, leaning forward. I need to explain. I didn't want things to end like that, then why did they? The words slipped out before she could stop them, a chill running down her spine. She hadn't planned on confronting him so boldly, but the truth needed to come out, cut like a jagged knife into the silence. Jake exhaled sharply, as if her words had taken him by surprise. I know I messed up. I never wanted to hurt you. You understand that, don't you? I was lost, struggling. It all spiraled out of control. Lost? Struggling? Emma shot back, the anger bubbling just beneath the surface. You think that justifies what you did? Please let me finish, he pleaded, his voice edged with desperation. I'd do anything to take it back. I'd give anything to go back in time and fix what was broken. His intensity washed over her, an overwhelming tide of emotion that urged her to soften, but she fought it. Anger and hurt swirled, battling with the longing she still felt for him. I didn't come here to relive the past, Jake, she said, struggling to keep her voice steady despite the tremor beneath. I just want to know why now? Jake hesitated. His fingers entwined nervously. I came back to town to sort things out. And I have something important to tell you. It could change everything. Emma's breath hitched. What could possibly be more important than the wreckage of what they once had? What do you mean? Something happened last week, something that made me realize what I had with you. I was blind before, but I need you to listen to me. It's about family and us. Confusion zigzagged through her mind. Family? The word hung uncomfortably in the air between them. What do you mean by family? We're not together. It's complicated, he replied, dragging a hand through his hair, frustrated. Just give me a chance to explain. I promise it's worth it. Emma's heart raced. This wasn't just a rekindling of a past romance. It was something deeper, something that threatened to upheave everything she thought she knew. With lingering dread overshadowing her desire to know, she held on to her seat, bracing herself for what came next. Go on, she said, her voice firm, even as uncertainty clawed at her gut. And in that charged moment, as their past and present tangled together, she realized this wasn't just about healing. It could lead to a revelation that might reshape everything she ever dreamed. But was she ready for the truth? What could he possibly say that would change their lives forever? Jake took a deep breath, the weight of unspoken words heavy on his shoulders. He leaned closer, his eyes locked onto hers as if trying to pull in every bit of her attention. Emma, my dad, he's sick. Really sick. And he's been thinking about family, about what matters most. That's why I came back, Jake said, his voice now a fragile whisper. Emma's chest tightened. I'm sorry about your dad, really. But I don't see how this concerns us. It does. You need to understand, he interrupted, urgency lacing his tone. He's been pushing me to reconnect with everyone I've hurt, to make amends. That's why I'm here. I need you to know how sorry I am. Her heart fluttered, torn between sympathy for his situation and the bitterness of their shared history. But why now? Why didn't he do this before? He looked down at his hands, visibly struggling to find the right words. After everything happened, I could only think about how I messed up. But I was so caught up in my own head I didn't see how much it affected you. And what? She snapped, anger flaring again. Is this about you wanting forgiveness? Or do you think this will fix anything? Because it won't. Jake flinched. No, it's not just about forgiveness. It's about the truth. There's more to it. She could see the turmoil in his eyes and a flicker of fear danced within her. What else, Jake? He hesitated for so long that Emma thought he might back down again. But finally, he forged ahead, his voice a hesitant whisper. Emma, my dad, he revealed something shocking just before I came back. And it's about our families. We're connected in a way I never understood. Her mind raced. What could he mean? Connected? How? He swallowed hard, the weight of his confession pressing heavy on his chest. Emma, you're going to think I'm crazy, but you know how I told you my mom left when I was small? Well, she didn't just leave. She married my father after he got divorced from yours. Your dad is my uncle. She felt the world tilt beneath her. What? That's not possible. My dad would be told me. The shock hit her like a wave, nearly knocking the breath from her lungs. Jake shook his head vigorously. No, he wouldn't. I overheard them talking about it right before I came here. They made it seem like it was just a phase in their lives, but they hid it from us. It all began when we were kids. Stunned silence enveloped the cafe, the regular sounds fading into a background hum. Emma felt as if the ground had given way beneath her. This, or whatever was left to say, would change everything. If you think I'm lying, he continued, voice trembling, just give me a chance to prove it. I never wanted any of this to happen, but now I can't keep running from it. Her mind spun in circles, trying to understand and piece together this new reality that collided violently with her past. You can't expect me to digest this, Jake. It's too much. I know, and I wish I could take it back, he said, his voice breaking slightly. But this is real. We could potentially be family. A searing mix of anger and confusion washed over her. The idea of Jake possibly being part of her family felt like a betrayal and was utterly incomprehensible. You told me to listen, and I did. But the implications of this, Jake, I can't breathe. The cafe buzzed around them, unaware of the seismic shift happening at that tiny table. I'm trying to fix what's broken, he said, anguish clear in his eyes. But I need you to help me to decide what's next. Can we piece this shattered past together? Deep down, the hope that flickered in Jake's eyes ignited something within Emma, even amidst the chaos. But with family ties and a web of complicated emotions tangled together, was there any chance to truly heal, or were they irreparably broken? Emma's breath hitched as she pondered the impossible promises of the future. Could love still exist in the midst of such an overwhelming legacy? Would family redefine everything they ever knew about each other? Can we really figure this out? She asked, uncertainty lacing her voice. Jake nodded, determination clouding his features. I believe. We can, but it has to start with the truth. And as they sat there, suspended between the burdens of their shared past and the uncertainty of what was to come, Emma felt the weight of a decision pressing down on her. Was she ready to face the complexity of their newfound connection, or would she choose to walk away from it all? Emma's heart raced as she stared at Jake, each second stretching out painfully, filled with unsaid words and tangled emotions. The cafe around them buzzed with casual chatter, but in this moment, there was an invisible wall isolating them from the world. His revelation wasn't just shocking, it was a bombshell that could obliterate everything she thought she knew. What do you mean, your dad is my uncle? She managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. This can't be true. It doesn't make any sense. Jake leaned forward, his expression desperate. I know it sounds crazy, but I swear it's real. They've kept it a secret for so long. Think back, Emma. How many times have our families intersected, and no one ever mentioned this? She felt her pulse quicken. Memories flooded her mind, holiday gatherings, birthdays, the countless times they had spent together, laughing, reminiscing, and yet somehow, there had always been a veil over their shared history. They never told me. Emma shook her head, confusion morphing into anger. They kept us in the dark all these years. Why would they do that? I don't know, Jake exclaimed, his voice raw and pained. Maybe to protect us? Or because it was easier. But look, here we are. What do we do with this information now? I'm not asking you to forgive me right away, but can we at least talk? Really talk? Emma bit her lip, her heart battling between her instincts to run and the tether of their shared history. And what if you're right? She asked, the weight of the question pressing down heavily. What if we are family? Where does that leave us? For a moment, silence enveloped them again. It was a silence that begged a response, a reckoning of sorts. Then we might have to confront everything we've felt for each other, Jake replied softly. We could redefine what family means, what love means. Emma's stomach twisted at the implications. Love? They had shared that briefly, complicatedly, but now? How could love possibly exist in the shadow of this revelation? The thought of stepping into that uncertain territory felt like walking on a tightrope with no safety net. Right now, it feels impossible, she murmured, fighting tears. I get that it feels that way, he said, his voice low and earnest. But maybe this could also mean something good. A chance to unearth the truth and heal. Healing. The word echoed in her mind like a prayer, and she could almost convince herself that it was possible. "And what about our parents?" she asked, her voice shaking. "What if they don't approve? What if they're ashamed?" "I'm not asking for permission from them anymore. This is about us," Jake insisted, his eyes locked onto hers, pleading for understanding. "What do you really want? Deep inside, what do you feel?" His raw vulnerability was almost unbearable. She felt her defenses waver, their shared laughter and memories swirling around her, mixing with the newfound reality. "I don't know," she whispered, the depth of her confusion evident in her tone. "It's too much." The corner of his mouth quirked up slightly, fighting back a smile. "I'm not going anywhere, Emma. I'm here, ready to talk about anything even if it's messy. I need to know if you're still willing to take this journey with me." As she searched his face, she saw not just the boy who had once broken her heart, but someone standing there, ready to confront the very foundations of their existence. That flicker of hope ignited a fire in her chest. But before she could respond, her phone vibrated on the table, cutting through the fragile moment. Glancing down, her heart slipped as she saw her father's name lighting up the screen. What does he want?" she muttered, dread pooling in her stomach. Jake's reassuring hand found hers, grounding her. "You can answer it. I'll be right here." Taking a deep breath, she pressed to answer. But as her father's voice echoed in her ear, the tension rose. "Emma, we need to talk. It's important." Her heart plummeted. What could possibly be so urgent? With Jake's hand steadying her, she felt teetering on the edge of a cliff, unsure of what awaited her at the bottom. But she knew if this was about family, they had to be ready for anything, even the storm swirling ahead. As she dutifully listened, she wondered, could this call unravel everything they had just started to confront? Or would it be the push she needed to finally make a decision? "Emma, are you there?" Her father's voice was urgent, cutting through her haze of emotions. She struggled to concentrate, the weight of her earlier conversation with Jake tangling in her mind. "What's going on, Dad?" she asked, trying to keep her tone steady. She didn't want him to hear the tremor in her voice, the uncertainty clawing at her. "It's about your mother and your family," he paused, the silence stretching on. She could hear the faint sound of her father's breathing, and it made the air in the cafe feel thicker. "What about them?" she pressed, anxiety bubbling beneath her skin. "It's complicated, Emma. Can we meet?" "It's not something I can explain over the phone," he said, his voice weary, rife with a tension she couldn't ignore. "Meet? Now?" The word made her stomach twist. She glanced at Jake, who watched her closely, his eyes filled with concern. "Yes. Now. It's important." "I don't want to say more on the phone," he insisted. Taking a deep breath, Emma decided. "All right, where?" "Just meet me at the park, the one by the old oak tree." "Can you do that?" "Okay. I'll be there soon," she replied, feeling a strange mix of dread and determination. She hung up and looked at Jake. "What did he say?" he asked softly, his thumb tracing circles on her hand. "He wants to meet at the park." It felt like a confession, as if she was admitting to a crime, and his eyes widened slightly. "Emma, are you going to go?" he questioned, urgency lacing his voice. "I don't know what else to do. This could change everything," she replied, feeling the foundation of her world shifting beneath her. Her heart raced, a wild cadence that felt out of control. "Whatever he wants," Jake started, squeezing her hand. "You don't have to face it alone. I'll be with you." Emma appreciated his offer, but could feel the weight of the situation pressing on her. "This is family stuff, Jake. You don't want to get caught up in that." He shook his head, determined. "Maybe I do. I don't want to lose you to whatever is happening. I want to stand by you. I mean, isn't that what family does?" His words lingered in the air like a promise. She felt a flicker of hope, almost naive in the urgency of the moment. Maybe this was the healing they had spoken of, unraveling the knots tangled deep in their shared histories. But what if it's bad? Emma asked quietly, fear creeping back into her voice. What if it only makes things worse? "No matter what happens, we'll face it together," Jake promised, his eyes steady and unwavering. As she gathered her things to leave, one thought consumed her. What was so important that her father needed to meet right now? Would it be related to the revelation Jake had shared, or would it be something entirely different? The two of them walked to the park in silence, the tension between them palpable. As the trees rustled in the wind, Emma's mind drifted back to their families, their shared backgrounds, the love they had been tiptoeing around. Arriving at the park, she spotted her father waiting under the oak, his expression troubled and distant. "What is it?" she asked as she approached, her heart racing. He looked at her with an intensity that made her shiver. "Emma, this is about family secrets some you've never known, and they lead back to Jake." That last word settled heavily in the air between them, slicing through the fragile hope. As her father started to speak, Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. What was he about to reveal? Would this story plunge her deeper into the storm, or could it be the beginning of clarity she so desperately needed? The rustling leaves above seemed to sigh as Emma fought to catch her breath. Her father's face was a mask of emotions, each one sharper than the last. She felt the weight of his words pressing against her chest. Family secrets. The phrase echoed in her mind like a warning bell. "Dad, just tell me," Emma urged, her voice trembling. She wanted to grasp the reality of it all, the truth, no matter how frightening. He hesitated, glancing at Jake, who stood protectively by her side, arms crossed, eyes narrowed as if preparing for a looming storm. "It's complicated," he began, fidgeting with the collar of his shirt, a familiar gesture she noticed when he was anxious. "Family isn't always what we think it is." "What do you mean?" Emma asked, her voice a little louder, almost desperate. She needed him to understand how serious this was. His silence only deepened her unease. With a deep breath, he finally spoke. "Emma, Jake isn't just your boyfriend. He's related to our family. By blood." The ground beneath her feet felt unsteady. "What do you mean?" she repeated, more a whisper now, an echo filled with dread. "Your mother, her family, it's a much larger tapestry than you're aware of. Jake is connected to it, in ways that we didn't realize until recently," he said, his gaze shifting to the ground as if the earth might reveal the answers she craved. Emma's heart raced. She shot a glance at Jake, whose expression shifted from concern to shock, then back to determination. "How is that even possible?" she managed, feeling as if a tsunami was crashing over her. "There was a long-hidden line of kinship," her father said. "An estranged branch that seemed too distant to matter. But it does matter. You and Jake, you might be cousins." The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Emma felt the world spin, her logic struggling to process the implications of what she was hearing. "No, that can't be right." Her voice broke, strong emotions coursing through her body like a jarring electric shock. We have feelings for each other. He's my boyfriend." "I know," her father replied, pain evident as he took a step closer. "And that's why I needed to tell you now." Jake's expression darkened, but he didn't move away. He stood firm, a pillar of support. "Emma, I swear I had no idea," he interjected, his voice calm, but laden with emotion. "You have to believe me." Emma felt the tears stinging her eyes, the confusion threatening to shake her. How could this happen? Words spilled from her lips, tumbling like marbles lost in a chaotic rush. "What does it mean for us? For our families?" Her father's eyes filled with a profound sadness. "It means we must navigate this carefully. Family is important, but what you have, it's real." He took a deep breath, visibly trying to maintain his composure. "It's complicated, and it may change everything about how we view each other moving forward." The words cut deeper than Emma anticipated, spinning her thoughts into chaos. She looked at Jake, desperately seeking reassurance in his eyes. The air surrounding them was thick with unspoken fears and hopes. "Whatever this means, I still want to be with you, Emma," Jake said firmly. "We'll find a way. We can't just stop everything." His sincerity ignited a flicker of hope within her, but shadows loomed just outside the glow. "Can we? Or will it tear us apart?" Emma asked, her heart conflicted. The weight of history from the past loomed overhead like dark clouds about to unleash a storm. As they stood together, she tried to absorb the weight of her father's revelation, her mind racing with countless questions. Somewhere deep inside her, Emma felt the urge to break free from the chaos, to reclaim her sense of self amid the whirlwind of family legacies interweaving with her present, and as she faced both father and boyfriend, an unsettling feeling crept over her. What other depths of her family's past might lie ahead, waiting for her to uncover? Would she be ready to confront whatever truths awaited her? The only certainty she had was this: nothing would ever be the same again. Emma's heart thudded against her ribs. The world around her faded into a blur, the towering trees and whispering leaves becoming a distant backdrop to her tumultuous thoughts. Cousins? She choked out, the word tasting bitter on her tongue. She felt powerlessly anchored to the ground, a spinning top at the mercy of a force she couldn't control. Maybe we should sit down, her father suggested, his voice calming yet heavy with the burden of their conversation. They settled onto the cool grass, the earth grounding them despite the chaos swirling in their minds. Why didn't you tell me before? Emma asked, pain edging into her tone as the tears threatened to break free. Can't we just ignore it? It's not that simple, Emma, her father sighed, looking away into the treetops. We never knew. Families hide things. Yours is no different. Beside her, Jake clenched his fists. I'd never do anything if I'd known, he said, desperation cracking his usually steady voice. Emma, please believe me. His sincerity pulled at her heart. I do believe you, she whispered. But what do we do now? Together, we find out more. We have to understand what this really means, her father answered, his gaze meeting hers, full of concern. For your mother's sake, for the family. Your mother will need time to process, he continued, and we'll need to have that conversation. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. Emma exhaled slowly, her head swirling with thoughts. She wanted to scream, to run away from this tangled mess. How had everything she felt been built on a foundation of family ties, unbeknownst to her? What if this changes everything? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe it will, her father replied, his eyes softening. But it could also bring you closer. You both have a chance to understand your roots together. You're not lost, you're connected. As she processed his words, anger bubbled up within her. But I don't want our relationship defined by some DNA test. I love Jake. Love should be strong enough to handle this, her father countered gently. But it requires honesty and openness, without secrets. He looked at both her and Jake. In his eyes, she saw not just worry, but a flicker of hope. Jake nodded, determination setting in his jaw. We can make this work. I know we can. She wanted to believe him. But in that moment, a storm of doubt began brewing within her. What if love wasn't enough? The weight of her lineage loomed large, like an uninvited guest unsettling their quiet space. We'll need to talk to my mom, won't we? Emma asked, her voice quivering. She deserves to know. Yes, her father said, sighing heavily. But it won't be easy. We need to be ready for a tough conversation. It's time to face the music. The three of them sat in silence, each lost in their own thoughts, surrounded by the stillness of the woods. Emma felt the weight of expectations bearing down on her, the uncertainty of how her mother would react swamping her senses. What if her mom couldn't handle this? Jake squeezed her hand, a silent promise held within his grip. We'll face this together, Emma. No matter what. Her heart ached with a mix of love and fear. But what if my mom doesn't want to see it this way? What if she wants us to stop? His eyes bore into hers. Then we'll figure it out. One step at a time. The air grew heavy, thick with questions that lingered like fog. As Emma closed her eyes, a shiver ran down her spine. What if their love truly was enough to weather the storm ahead, or would it tear them apart at the seams? She opened her eyes, staring at the sky, desperate for guidance. Shadows danced around her, hinting at secrets still locked away in the past. The mystery of her family lineage seemed to stretch infinitely before her, waiting. Are we strong enough? She thought, gazing at Jake. For the first time, she realized it wasn't just her family she had to confront, but her own heart's desire and fear wrapped together. In this tangled web of love and lineage, Emma wondered, was uncovering the truth worth risking everything she held dear? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm, golden hue over the park as Emma stood with her father and Jake. The moment felt surreal, like stepping into a dream where the past collided violently with the present. The tension between them was palpable, each heartbeat echoing the storm of emotions swirling inside her. "Emma, I know this is a shock. But we need to confront this together, as a family," her father said, his voice steady but lined with concern. She could see the weight of their revelation hanging on him, and a flicker of admiration swelled in her heart. He was trying to do what was best. Family, the word felt heavy on her tongue. She glanced at Jake, his expression a mixture of worry and resolve. Could they really navigate this complicated terrain? As they sat beneath the majestic oak, Emma took a deep breath. "We need to talk to Mom," she said quietly. The thought terrified her, but she knew in her heart that they couldn't move forward without addressing the past. Together, Jake stressed, his grip on her hand tightening. "We'll go in as a united front. I care about you, Emma. I've always cared." The sincerity in his voice sent warmth through her, washing away some of the fear. She wanted to hold on to that feeling, to believe that perhaps love could conquer all. But she couldn't dismiss the doubts gnawing at her insides. The reality of her family's past felt like a wall rising around her, growing higher with every secret unveiled. The ride home was silent, charged with unspoken fears and hopes. Emma stared out the window, watching the landscape pass by like a blur, much like her thoughts. What would her mother say? Would she understand? Arriving home, her heart raced as they stepped inside. The familiar scent of her mother's cooking was comforting yet suffocating, synonymous with the warmth of home. But now, everything felt overshadowed by uncertainty. "Mom, can we talk?" Emma's voice quivered slightly as she called out, her stomach twisting into knots. She didn't want to face her mother's potential wrath or confusion. "Sure, honey," Clara replied, emerging from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Her expression shifted. She sensed something was off. "You all look serious." Emma glanced at Jake, who stood beside her, resolute and unwavering. "We need to talk about family." The words felt momentous, echoing through the air as she struggled to find the right place to start. Clara's brow furrowed. "What about family?" "About you and Dad. About everything." Emma swallowed hard, her voice trembling. "And about Jake." With an intense breath, she launched into the story, everything from Jake's wounded acknowledgement of their past to their shared lineage that bonded them in ways she never anticipated. As she talked, Clara's face shifted from confusion to shock. I had no idea." Her mother's voice trailed off, bewildered. "I'm sorry, Mom," Emma pleaded. "But we can't keep living in ignorance. We have to face it together." Silence encased the room, each second stretching painfully long. This changes everything," Clara murmured, her hands trembling. Jake stepped forward, maintaining eye contact with Emma's mother. "I never intended for any of this, Mrs. Wilson. I just want to make things right. We love each other, and I want your blessing, whatever that looks like." His honesty cut through the tension. Even Emma could feel Clara's resolve cracking. Finally, Clara took a deep, shuddering breath. "I remember when we were young, Jake. I thought we'd moved on from all the pain, but maybe this is our chance to address that pain. I just never expected to confront it like this." Emma's heart raced. "So, you're willing to try?" "I want us to heal," Clara replied, a tear glistening in her eye. "Let us not keep fighting, let us figure this out as a family." "But it won't be easy. We'll have to talk about everything, our pain, our love, the connection." Relief flooded through Emma like a refreshing wave. "Thank you, Mom. That means everything," she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. She felt an indescribable bond forming, solidifying amongst their shared confusion and sorrow. Jake reached for Emma's hand, intertwining their fingers, and she squeezed back, overwhelming joy bubbling in her chest. Maybe this was it. Maybe love could withstand even the fiercest storms. Days turned into weeks, and they all worked to reconcile their tangled histories. Each conversation peeled back layers of misunderstanding, grief, and love. As they shared laughter and tears, Emma felt familial bonds thickening. Much like the roots of the giant oak under which they had all faced their truth. At the center of it all was a new foundation growing strong within themselves that embraced the complicated nature of their connection. They realized they were not just fighting history, they were forging a future. On a sunny afternoon, the family gathered in the park, the laughter of children echoing in the distance. Emma turned to Jake, glowing with newfound hope. "No matter what comes next, I believe we can face anything together." He smiled, a radiant smile, full of warmth and assurance. "Always. Love isn't simple, but it's worth every challenge. We're in this together." And with that comment, Emma knew she had truly found her way back to love, turning past pain into future promise. So let this be a reminder to hold on to the connections that matter most, that family can surprise you. And true love can withstand even the steepest challenges. But before this moment passes, do not forget, you need to subscribe now to catch every beat of this unfolding story. This is the moment to show your support by leaving a like. Your gesture matters. Comment below your favorite moment from this story and share your feelings about this transformative journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness the power of love and connection.